Hello again. Today we have a special little book here filled with stunning illustrations and even some unexpected and innovative technology. The book is called The Mirrorstone and it was written in 1986 by Michael Palin, who you might know from Monty Python, and illustrated by Alan Lee, best known for his Tolkien illustrations. And his artwork in this book is enriched by the holographic effects designed and conceived by Richard Seymour. The story tells of a young boy being dragged from our own mundane world into a parallel medieval dimension through his bathroom mirror. Not unlike the Alice Through the Looking Glass book, although the story here is much shorter and, I would say, more perilous. Paul, the main character, quickly meets the magician Salaman, who asks him to recover the magical Mirrorstone from the depths of the sea. It's a good outline of a story, but a bit too shallow and bare for me. It feels more like a proposal, like an elevator pitch for something that might make an interesting book or a film, were it fully fledged. Luckily, the main draw here is not the text, but the magnificent Alan Lee illustrations, and especially the interesting, rarely seen holographic technology, which still feels magical 40 years later. The holograms that appear in some of the illustrations are sometimes difficult to parse. The objects inside are not immediately recognizable, so you have to peer closely into them from every angle, and it feels a little like examining a small portal into a dark dream world. From what I understand, the holograms used photographs of sculptures, or perhaps actual people in some cases. I may be completely off, but they seem to have been sculpted by Alan Lee himself, as well as Wendy Froud, the puppet maker and sculptor who worked on the Jim Henson films The Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, with her husband Brian Froud. Now, Brian had also collaborated with Alan Lee on the Fairies book, which you can see here in its Serbian edition, and it's always nice to see these connections between different artists across multiple projects, weaving a sort of beautiful, interconnected web of creative people. Alan Lee, of course, did not illustrate The Lord of the Rings until a couple years later, in 1991, so it's interesting to see only his earlier projects such as Fairies and the Mabinogion being mentioned at the back of the book. His illustrations here are the only ones I ever saw him make of everyday contemporary objects, fashion and technology that we can see in our own lives. He usually sticks to mythology, fantasy, or generally medieval settings. Of course, this book is not lacking in that department either. Most of its 32 pages are filled with all sorts of otherworldly scenes. What I appreciate about his art is how detailed yet gentle it is, but always very straightforward. He clearly has a powerful imagination, but it seems so grounded, like he has a very strong foundation when it comes to architecture, for example, and a vast knowledge and respect for mythology, making his illustrations seem both dreamlike and historical at the same time. Well, that would be all for now. Sorry I haven't been around for a while, but I'm back now. Please let me know if you have any books you know with interesting gimmicks, like the holograms of the Mirrorstone. I'm always curious to see the limits of the medium of books. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.